Hey, Mike. What? Who's got next?
What's good, y'all? It's your man, Hezo, and welcome back to the Blacktop, where I always got next, you feel me? So we are back at it with another Hawks recap, and man, this game had me on the edge of my seat. Very ugly win, but we will take it at the end of the day. Subscribe if you're new. We are only like a few subs away from that big 1,000 mark, so we are pretty much there, man. So do your boy a solid, help me out, leave a like on the video, and let's get right into it. This game was a battle, man. Both teams fought hard to the end. The entire game, it was back and forth for most of the game. Both teams lighting up the scoreboard. Not a ton of defense being played. OKC came out the gate shooting the ball well. They were hitting threes. But Atlanta was kind of sticking around early on in the first half because they were dominating the offensive glass and getting second chance points, getting into the paint. And Trae and Shai just were going back and forth really the entire game. I mean, these dudes both lit up the scoreboard, and we watched two superstar point guards just go at it. And it was fun to watch, man. Even though I was on the edge of my seat, it was really fun to watch. Both offenses cooking in the first half. Shai finished with 26, and he was killing DeJounte tonight, man. It was in the first half, he just was, it seemed, three straight possessions he went at DeJounte and drew an and one, and bro, DeJounte got killed on the defensive end tonight by Shai, and he really struggled tonight. Struggled shooting the basketball, struggled with his turnovers late in the game. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later. Trae did his thing tonight, man. He after the shooting slump that he's been in recently, he shot the ball pretty well. He got to the free throw line. He wasn't really turning the ball over as much. Trae just really came through tonight. He had an outstanding game. Shai had an outstanding game as well. 26 in the first half for Shai, 22 in the first half, and these dudes was just going at it, man. This game was tied at 77 going into the half, but then as soon as the second half starts, Atlanta just kept turning the ball over, man. It was giving OKC so many opportunities to pull away. I think they went up by as much as 7, but Atlanta hung around. It was still a back and forth game. Guys were knocking down threes. Bogey had a really solid game tonight. He shot the ball so much better. We missed Trae tonight once again, but I ain't gonna get into all that. But I'll tell you what, man, this OKC team, they are really fun. They are a really fun team to watch, and they have so much potential. They have so many young guys. They hustle. They don't play a lot of defense, but they get into transition. They do force a good bit of turnovers. That is a little bit of defense they do play. Even though teams light up the scoreboard against them, they do force a good bit of turnovers. And they forced Atlanta into a lot of bad turnovers tonight. So you got to credit the Thunder tonight on that. They got so many guys that can just shoot the ball. I mean, Isaiah Joe is one of them dudes who kind of came onto the scene recently, but that boy got a strap. He can really let it fly, and I really like what I see from him from outside of the arc. And they just have a lot of guys, man. They just get it done. They do the dirty work. Jalen Williams had a really solid game tonight. He's looked like a really solid pick, and he's like 6'5", 6'6", and he was basically playing center tonight. He was hustling for rebounds, offensive rebounds. He was doing a lot of the dirty work, getting into transition. He looked really solid tonight. The Thunder got a really, really bright future in this league, and I just wanted to get that out the way, man, because I really like what I'm seeing from this Thunder team. They might be in the play-in this year, and maybe can even squeeze maybe an 8 seed, this season. But if not, ain't nothing to hang your head on, man. This team is going to be so fun to watch in the future, and they really are going to be a threat going forward in the Western Conference in a couple years. Shai to me is a top 3 point guard in this league. I mean, you could say whoever, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want any fans coming at me any type of way. But at this specific moment, in time, I do think that Shai is a better player than Trae. And I'm sorry, my fellow Hawks fans, y'all know I love Trae. Y'all know I love DeJounte. But at this time, I think that Shai is a better player than both of them. He's had a far better season than both of them. He's shooting the ball so well, shooting 50% from the field, averaging 30 a game on a Thunder team that they have a lot of talent, but they're still what I would have thought had been a tanking team, and they're right there with, towards the play-in, and that's because of Shai. So the Hawks closed out the third quarter on a great run led by Trae, but then the fourth quarter, it seemed like they were about to put the Thunder away. I mean, jumped out to an early 8-0 run, went up by 13, and then went by up as much as 15, and again, OKC just kept hanging around, making plays, making threes, getting and ones, forcing turnovers. DeJounte had a really really poor fourth quarter with the turnovers. He had multiple possessions where he was trying to do too much, isolating, and he would just get careless, turn the ball over. OKC fought back, cut it to, I think, a 5-point game late in the fourth quarter after being down by 15. They went on a quick 9-0 run. Atlanta would answer, and then they go on another run, and it was really, they just kept hanging around, and Atlanta just couldn't fully put them away like they should have because of poor offensive execution late in the game. Once again, it's the same story every game. It's been like that all season, except for that during that 5-game win streak, we've gotten back into our old ways of isolation, and it's just frustrating to watch, man, because we really almost choked this one away once again. Again, credit to Thunder for making plays late in the fourth quarter to climb back and hang around in the game. I thought Shai was really gonna maybe bring him back and close it out, but he kind of struggled late in that fourth quarter. He had a couple bad turnovers, even though he did knock down a handful of shots early on in the fourth quarter to kind of get them, keep that, that momentum going. He just had those couple turnovers, and it really kind of bit the Thunder in the ass. I mean, it really shot them in the foot. And DeJounte did have a huge block on Shai late in the game when we were up 3. I mean, he didn't kick it out for 3. DeJounte had that huge block and then gets fouled, and then, that's all she wrote. But again, DeJounte just did not really play well tonight. Luckily, we did have a couple other guys step up. JC had a very solid game. Bogey had a very solid game for once after being in his shooting slump. Again, no Dre tonight, so that definitely was affected on the defensive end. We saw that tonight. But Trae was the man tonight, and he really carried us not the entire second half, but a big portion of this game, and was a huge reason why we were able to come out with this dub. So I want to get into my final takeaways for this game. Number 1 was the turnovers. Again, once another game that just too many turnovers. Finished, I think, with 17 turnovers on the night. And again, that's just not going to get it done. You have to do a better job of taking care of the ball, especially late in the game. In those final stretches, those final minutes of the game, you have to do a better job of taking care of the ball and getting easier shots. So number 2, once again, is the late game execution. It seems like, again, it's the same thing over and over and over. I feel like I constantly come on here and repeat myself because we watch the same thing night in and night out with this Hawks team. They get a big lead. They go to hero ball, isolation ball late in the fourth quarter. The other team goes on a run, and they have to kind of scrap and close it out by the skin of their teeth in a close game that shouldn't be close when you're up 15 late in the game, up 10 late in the game, and they almost choke it away because of poor execution down the stretch of the ball game. We've seen it all season long. We didn't see it in that 5-game win streak, but all of a sudden, we're back to our old ways. Luckily, we got out with a win tonight, but it was an ugly win, man. I can't even say that this was a great win. Even though a lot of guys contributed, it was just a lot closer towards the end of the game than it really should have been after going up and getting that 15-point lead. So my final takeaway for this game was the rebounding, and I don't mean that in a good way. Yes, I know that Atlanta won the rebounding battle in the box score, whatever you want to call it, but the number that I'm looking at is the 12 offensive rebounds for OKC. And the reason why that number sticks out to me is because they didn't have guys that were 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot down there. They were running their starting 5 pretty much with, I think, maybe 6'8", 6'7" as their tallest player on the court. And the reason for them getting that many offensive rebounds is the hustling. They hustled to the loose balls. They hustled to crash the glass. And Atlanta did a poor job of closing out on a lot of possessions and cleaning up the glass, even with Capella, even with Okongwu. Now, yes, they won the rebounding battle ultimately. But when you're letting 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" guys consistently get second chance opportunities, that's bad. And that's just a poor way to rebound the ball. And yes, we won it in the box score. But when you watch the game, they had way too many second chance opportunities, especially in the second half. And that's just not going to get it done. You got to do a better job of rebounding the basketball and closing out your defensive possessions. I've said that numerous times in the past, and that's been a huge reason why we've lost a ton of games, is because of the poor rebounding on the offensive glass and the defensive glass. Now, we did a good job on the offensive glass tonight. Atlanta had a ton of second chance opportunities. JC was eating down there. Capella had a ton of offensive rebounds, but they just did not do a good enough rough job of closing out the defensive rebounds. So I'm pretty much leave it there, man. I do apologize for my energy tonight. My fiance is in the other room next to me trying to sleep, so I wasn't really trying to be too loud and super hyped like I have been in a lot of my past videos, so I do apologize for that. Again, this was an ugly win, but at the end of the day, it is a win, so we are one game back above 500, inching closer and closer to that 6 or 7 seed, which we really need to get to 6 for me to be, you know, kind of satisfied going into the playoffs. But we'll see what happens the rest of the season. We got the Clippers on Saturday. That's going to be a very tough game. Kawhi has been playing out of his mind. Paul George has looked good since he's came back from his injury. These guys have been playing really well since they've come back from their injury, so it's going to be a tough game on Saturday. Leave your thoughts down in the comments. What did y'all think about this game overall? What do you think is going to happen on Saturday? Leave a like on the video, and I will catch y'all next episode.